Hey everyone, today I'll be talking to you about building custom search layout experiences in SharePoint with Microsoft Search. And I think the earlier talk by Ed, especially referencing to adaptive card, is quite a good, starter or setup for this. And you'll learn about it very quickly. So before we go into the whole the session, here is the agenda. So I'm going to give a very quick brief introduction about Microsoft Search. I'm sure most of you may already know it, but just so that all of us are on the same page. Then I'm going to talk about what the search result layout customization is, do a quick demo, and then just briefly go over the roadmap. So just a very quick recap, right? So Microsoft Search is essentially the intelligent search for the modern workplace. When you think about your different types of M365 products, ranging from SharePoint that we've been seeing right now to Bing, Office.com, etc., all of these products have a search associated with it, which is powered by Microsoft Search. So in very simple terms, it's one search. It's consistent and familiar, personalized results, and essentially gives you the ability to search from any device anywhere. And this is something which a lot of you may have seen. So like starting from the left-hand side, you will notice over here that you have the experience of searching in Microsoft in Bing, wherein you have this work vertical where you can start seeing your work-related or the enterprise search results. You may be searching in Teams, Office.com, the web version of it, or in Outlook, or in fact, even in SharePoint, when you're searching from your SharePoint homepage. The search experience in all of these are essentially powered by Microsoft Search. Now, within all of this, we are specifically going to be talking about how you can create search results using adaptive cards. Yet another place where we are actually using adaptive cards to essentially extend the current capabilities which are present in the product. So to give you a brief, right, if you look at the experience over here on the left-hand side, I'm hoping most of you have already seen it. But typically, let's say if you're on SharePoint homepage and you go ahead on the search box and you search for something, you see a page where you're seeing a set of results which are essentially showing up for you. Now, this capability that I'm talking about is essentially just the capability that an organization and a search administrator in an organization specifically can go ahead and design the search results. So each of these search results, for example, that you're seeing over here right now is typically inbuilt and shown by Microsoft Search. But with result type concept, the search administrator or the organization can choose to design their own search result layout. Now, the example that you're seeing over here is somebody looking for, assume in this case, work items. Now, work items from Azure DevOps. So when you're looking for work items from Azure DevOps using Graph Connectors. So Graph Connector is a product which allows an organization to index any kind of external content which is currently not present in Microsoft Search and bring it into their organization's inside their organization so that they can essentially go ahead and make it searchable. So when you have this type of content coming in, you can go ahead and show these search results on the search page for your end users. And the next question maybe to think about is, why would you need this capability to design your own search result layout? And that is essentially so that we can provide the capability to the organization to tailor the experience according to their needs. So when we're looking at this work item search result over here, you may notice that there is a lot of information which is being shown over here, like who is this work item assigned to, what is the state, priority, etc. Now, these are the commonly used important properties which are present on a given work item. But it may be that for your organization, area is not important and maybe iteration path is more important, or maybe some other attribute of the Azure DevOps work item is much more important, and your employees would want to see that on the search result instead of what is currently being shown. So this is where this capability of designing search results using adaptive card comes in. wherein for graph connector content, you can go ahead and use this and design your own search result layouts. This capability today is already generally available, which means that you can go to your Microsoft Search administration page and try this capability out if you have a graph connector connection created. Now, another aspect of this is that all of this is available today for a graph connector content. But Microsoft Search lets you search over a lot of other content as well, specifically a lot of SharePoint content. Now, when we're talking about SharePoint content, this capability is something that we are enabling in the process of enabling now. So if you have some select type of SharePoint contents, like SharePoint list items, sites, pages, or PDFs, here as well, you can now start designing your search result layouts using adaptive cards. So what I'm showing you over here highlighted, for example, is a search result of a site page. Now, this is the inbuilt layout. With this capability of using a result type with SharePoint content, you will be able to override this inbuilt layout and design your own search result experience. I'm just going to jump onto the demo aspect of it. So for the demo, essentially what I have over here is an example. So I'm going to walk you through how you can go ahead and customize this experience for your SharePoint list items. So over here, what I have is a learning site in which I have training courses SharePoint list. So from some of our conversations, we have seen cases of organizations where they have their training courses essentially created as a SharePoint list. Now, in the SharePoint list, if you see a given individual training course, you have each training course containing things like a title, start date, end date, the type of course it is, if it is an online or an in-person course, and the course description. And typically what you would expect is a user or an employee, if they are looking for a training course on a given topic, they would go to the Microsoft Search page experience and look for it. So the current experience today over here is, let me show you. So right now over here, I'm on the SharePoint Search experience. Now I'm searching for design and I'm looking for training courses related to design. Now I'm seeing over here a lot of relevant results which are popping up. However, one thing to notice over here is that in each of these search results, design and engineering, which is essentially the title of the training course is the only thing that is actually visible to the users. Now, considering we have about 4 to 5 search results related to design training courses which are available, if a user has to choose between one of these, then they have to essentially go to each and every one of these results, read up on the details, and then make the right choice, which is a tedious process. They're not, the right amount of information is not being provided over here. And this would make for a good example wherein a search administrator can come in and change or override this inbuilt layout which is being provided and start showing the use an adaptive card instead to show the right information. So for that, you have to go to the search administration portal. So in this case, you have to go to Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And in here, you have to go to Search and Intelligence. Now, within Search and Intelligence, you have a customizations tab. So essentially, in this case, you are customizing the result layout experience, which is a configuration called as a result type. Now, for the demo, I already have the result type created. So I'm just going to walk you through this. So in this case, this is the training courses result layout, result type that I have created. Now, in very, very simple terms, a result type is just a configuration which is tying a type of content for which you're showing a result to the result layout, to the new type of layout which has to be shown. So in this case, so apart from the typical information, like the name of the result type configuration over here, I spoke about 2 aspects. One is, what is the type of content for which I want to change the search result? And that essentially is sort of selected or provided using these two aspects. One is the content source. So in this case, the content source could either be SharePoint or it could be a connector, a graph connector. Because here we are designing for a SharePoint list item, the content source is SharePoint. The second aspect is, now SharePoint is very, very broad. There are a lot of things, right? So what you also want to do is become a bit more specific. So here you can go ahead and further narrow this down and tell which type of content you want to go ahead and select. So today we are providing this capability for SharePoint list item, page, site, or PDF. Now, even within this, I have selected SharePoint list item, but I, for example, don't want to change the layout for every SharePoint list item. So I can further narrow this down and say that whenever the SharePoint list item is coming from the training courses, only in that case, go ahead and overwrite the result layout. So now, so far, I have essentially figured out the type of content that I want to, the type of content for which I want the search to change. The next step is all about designing your search result layout. And like Ed was showing earlier, we essentially use adaptive cards to do this. Now, for doing this, what we have is a layout designer which is present. So if you go ahead and launch the layout designer, we start out by providing a set of default templates from which you can actually choose. So depending upon your need, you can go ahead and choose one of these templates. It just helps you to get started. So let's say in my case, I think that this particular template looks quite close to what I wanted, because I wanted to show the title and the course description, as well as some additional kind of a metadata. So I can just select this particular template, click on Get Started, and go ahead and start doing the mapping. Now, what is the mapping? So far, you just have the template. This particular template or layout should now get connected to the SharePoint list item data that was being shown. So for example, this over here, if you look at the layout, is a description. Now, in my training course, it was being called as course description. So I have to come back over here and go ahead and map this essentially to course description. So in a similar manner, I'm required to essentially do the mapping for all of the different parts which are present in the layout. So just for the demo, I will go ahead and put in some dummy values over here so that I can show you how the next step comes up. And I think this is the last one. Yes. So once all of the mapping is done, and not with the junk values, but with the correct ones, you can just go ahead and click on Submit. So once you have submitted this, we automatically generate the layout JSON for you. You don't have to do anything else. You can come back over here and go ahead and paste your JSON. And we do some kind of validations as well. And because I had used junk values, it's throwing me a warning. But essentially, it's as simple as that. Once your layout is in place, you can go ahead and click on Next and save your result type, and you're done. So let me just close this for now. So once you have saved your result type, I will go back, and I think this is okay. So now I have another, so this is the page where I have this experience enabled with the new result type. Now I'm going to go ahead and search for the same term. Now, as you can see, it is essentially the same set of results. So I'm seeing design and engineering, understanding functions to design for disabilities. If I go back to the previous search page, it's the same set of search results which were appearing over here, which are now appearing in this new experience, except now this is appearing with the new adaptive card search layout, where so additional information is being shown as per your needs. So this is in brief the main capability of designing the search result layout experience with adaptive cards. There's another quick thing that I want to actually go and show you. Now, when you're designing your search result layout, you are not just limited to the options which are provided to you in the templates. Now, you may notice over here this capability of edit layout. So once, let's say in this case, because this is showing started and due, and I didn't want started, I wanted the course type to be shown. So I can just quickly go ahead and edit the layout. So once I click on edit, I go into the edit mode. If you remember from what Ed was showing earlier, this is pretty much the same adaptive card designer which is being used. We are leveraging the same thing over here. And in the context of search. So let's say I don't want this second line to be shown, so I can go ahead and close on that. And I want to go ahead and make some changes to this particular line. So in the element properties, I can make those changes over here. And once all of these changes are done, I can again preview this, see what my search result looks like, and map the layout again, and I'll come back to the previous page. So this also provides you the capability of not just choosing from the templates, but creating the search layout according to your own needs. So this was a brief demo of how you can go ahead and customize your search result experience. I have another quick few slides, after which I will in fact, go for the questions. So in brief, this is the result type roadmap today. The support for customizing graph connector content is already generally available. So you can go ahead and try it out even today. The support for the SharePoint content, which I was just showing, is something that we are launching in private preview now, which brings me to the call to action. So there are two call to actions for the community over here. The first one is on the left-hand side, which is if you have a scenario where you really would need this, we would love to hear your feedback. So please participate in the private preview. You can go to aka.ms/search result preview. So that is my first call to action. The second call to action is related to the graph connector search. So like I called out earlier, graph connector search is something which is already generally available, and we know that a lot of you have been using it. We would like to get your feedback to help us understand the challenges and needs that you have with respect to the usage that you have done so far. So for this, if you can provide us your feedback by going to aka.ms/connector search feedback, that would essentially be really helpful for us. Yeah, but that was a short brief from my side.
Excellent. Don't stop sharing yet. So let's go through a few questions because we do have time on this. This is absolutely brilliant stuff. A lot of positive feedback, and I'm sure that those who are not in the call are super excited on this one as well. So now, a few questions. There was a question from Jason Clark earlier, which was, can you prioritize the search for metadata terms over folders? So can you kind of do the prioritization of the search?
When you say prioritization, let me try and understand this, right? So if the question is, if you want to bump up the relevance, let's say, give more importance to certain types of results over others, yes, that today, I don't believe that capability is available today. If you can share a brief note on how that would help you, I can pass along the feedback to the respective team. However, I will take this opportunity to talk about the fact that we are offering other types of customizations, wherein, let's say, if you want to go ahead and hide certain types of results, like content coming in from certain types of sites, etc., that capability is present today. So you can go ahead and customize your verticals to hide certain types of content, but you can't change the relevance today. Cool. I hope that answers.
Yeah, I think that was really good insight. Now, Louis Farho was asking, how will this integrate with the PnP Modern Search v4? At the moment, it doesn't. So the PnP Modern Search web parts are just hitting the graph APIs and the search APIs behind the scenes. This one is the native out-of-the-box functionality, so it's not dependent on extensibility. Now, maybe in future, there will be some ways of doing some extensibility on top of this using a web part or SPFX even. Who knows? We'll see. So that's the future of things. But for now, no integration as such. Let's see. I'm scanning through what are I missing questions. A lot of positive feedback. Not including content types is a big miss. We use custom content types for across list and libraries. I think that was related on the configuration and being able to define an output template per content type. So potentially something to the roadmap then.
Thank you. Yeah.
And let's see, are there samples of people search available? That was a question from Christoph.
People search, no. So today, if people search results are not yet customizable, again, something which is being looked at, but we don't have a concrete timeline on this. There is some level of customization which is available in the sense that you can go ahead and use Graph API to, set some additional metadata which shows up in the people card. However, if you want to go ahead and change the, add a lot more metadata on the people results that is showing up or change the layout, those capabilities are not yet available today.
Cool. Excellent. And then there was a good question from Ralph. Can we use dev tenants or developer tenants for the preview if people are signing up for the preview? Is that an option?
Yes, absolutely. So we generally the way we do it is first we would like test or dev tenants to onboard for the preview. And then once the functionally you are happy with it, then we move forward with it.
Yeah. And then there's Nizar has a question. Is there a search filtering configuration in the roadmap? I don't think you can open up all of the things in the roadmap, but I guess the roadmap is pretty large at this point. So a lot of stuff being planned. Exactly. Right.
I think there's a question. Sorry, was that a question for me?
No. That was kind of a general comment and just confirming that, of course, a lot of the stuff and functionalities which are not yet available is in the roadmap and being planned to get there in the future. So sooner or later. But yeah, yes. Feel free to answer some of the things which you catched on the chat.
Yeah, I think there's a question saying the demo result type included a query that filtered by path, but the query could just as easily be based on search managed property, which could be mapped to your custom column in search in SharePoint. Yes. So if I go back to the experience over here today, essentially, yes, on the rules page, I had actually path pre-selected, but in there, all of the out-of-box SharePoint properties can essentially be used to create any of your rules. So apart from path, if you have something like a string 1, 2, 3, that will also go ahead and show up over there. What we don't have support for currently is showing custom properties over here directly on the rules page. But essentially, this is just a laundry list of all of the SharePoint managed properties which are present. And you can go ahead and use any of them to create your rules.
Cool. Excellent. I think from a timing perspective, let's actually start closing up on things. Maybe Jim Duncan have a question. How adaptive are adaptive cards? Can we collect information or provide actions right in the search results? So which version of the adaptive cards are we supporting? So
on the collecting information today, there is no information which is shared back essentially. On the second part, which is providing actions right in the search result. So at present in search, we have consciously suppressed some of the actions which are by default provided in adaptive cards, all of the universal actions which are present today. It is something that we have been looking at, but we don't have a clear timeline for that yet. So today, if you want the URLs, the open URL is the main action that works over there. But other than that, your other actions like action.execute, etc., don't work.